business. It'll be fun.
Oops. Welcome to another episode of the Planet Business Show. Especially right now, you are absolutely going to love the guest that we've brought on.
Love her. I love her.
Sherrie Sokolowski is one of the industry's premier strategic event planners, and she's got over a decade and a half of experience, which that's amazing. She's helped some of the most well-known personalities and businesses in our industry pull off many of the biggest events out there. I mean, I'm going to guess you've probably attended or at least heard of nearly all of them.
Yeah.
She's worked with events including Glazer Kennedy's Bar Setting Info Summit, Digital Marketers Traffic and Conversion Event, Russell Brunson's Funnel Hacker Live, just to name
a few small events. She gets around
little events. So this lady's kind of a big deal. You're going to want to take notes during this episode because most recently she realized she had to find a way to help as many businesses as possible create opportunities during this global pandemic. And she is way ahead of the curve right now. Why do we say that? Because she's been strategizing what she's calling Bionic Events. So
Love it.
Half real life, half virtual, to create experiences that people will seek out and attend. And it really is a game changer.
Total game changer.
So let's welcome Sherrie to the show and find out what she knows that nearly nobody else does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So welcome.
Thanks, Michelle and Mars. It's so great to be on with you guys.
We're super excited to have you on today because this is really a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just to precurse this, because you know how you have to claim when somebody, where you're an affiliate for somebody or something like that. When if you're promoting them, in your emails
you
and
have
stuff.
been listening when I talk.
just to certain parts, babe. But Sherrie is actually my friend, so some of this will be a little bit colored by the fact that I love her on a personal level. But really, the list could have gone on and on and on and on and on in terms of like the events and stuff that she's spearheaded and like put on for people. She helped really develop some of the events that are sort of industry standards right now. So I'm excited to be talking about her both on a personal level and then. Actually, if I could have got any event planner on, and we know a lot of event managers, planners, coordinators, and so forth, but Sherrie is literally the best of the best, and that's the bottom line. So make sure you listen to what this lady says.
All right. On that note, you can clip that out for a testimonial later. I would love to know what inspired you to get into event planning. People always love to hear, like, what was the story behind it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got really an interesting story. When it started with my career in 2005 with Bill Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle. Yeah, when I started working for Bill, the intention wasn't to be his event planner.
Oh,
he
wow.
hired me to be his executive assistant. And, he realized quickly that I could do so much more than that. Mm-hmm. And he treated the position as an apprentice position. So it was like the best opportunity ever for someone like myself in the corporate and nonprofit world. I kept hitting that glass ceiling of I needed to know more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to serve. Where could I do it and how?
Right.
And Bill opened that opportunity up for me. And I quickly learned from one of the best in the industry 15 years ago how to do events logistically with hotels. And then I learned on site, like hands-on learning for me is the best way. And I think for most people, they find it that way too. And when I was being Bill's assistant and his event planner, it gave me a wonderful opportunity to be behind the scenes with everything and to learn the A to Z from it.
I'd say, and just throw this in because you and I have a similar thing here in that Bill is one of my biggest mentors. He used to take me, and I don't know why, but he used to take me on his actual consulting things. Like I probably went on a dozen consulting things with him where he would take me into his clients' things and have me kind of co-consult. And I realized what a horrible consultant I was before I worked with Bill. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was great. I'm not, because Bill had it dialed in. He had everything in place. He knew how to manage them, keep them happy, but also, keep them, like herding cats sometimes with clients. And I learned so much from being in the mix and behind the scenes. And that does explain, he only does that with certain people. Okay. And I know why he did it with her. I don't know why the heck he did it with me. I can't figure it out. But at the end of the day, that's one of the things I do think that's one of the things that not only makes you a great event planner, which there's a lot of people who know how to organize events and so forth, but there's very few people who get how to make them experiences that also sell stuff, that actually generate, sales and then make the events profitable. That's a totally different thing. And Bill really is good at putting that into your DNA. So that
had to be a really cool way to get started with it. It definitely gives you a different background.
A very different background. I came from the corporate nonprofit world The only events I ever did was like board meetings and Christmas parties. So it was like, okay, I'm going to try it. And all this language being floating around in the mastermind meetings that he did. And I was a fly on the wall. I didn't know what info marketing was. I didn't know what digital world was or online, offline. I'm like, what's tchotchkes? You know, what's direct mail pieces? Like, what is this? But I started to learn, and a lot of knowledge came into my brain, and it just stayed there. And then hearing other people learning and growing was an education for me that I can now take to my clients and say, look, I've seen it. I've heard it. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And the whole mindset that Bill had of it doesn't matter if you're a chiropractor. If you see someone successfully marketing in the chiropractic world, take that, put it in your dental practice.
Yeah.
And it's going to work for you. And I have that same mindset when I'm working with my clients. It's like, what's your purpose? What's your end result game? And then let's figure out it together.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about it.
Yeah, that definitely gives you a deeper level of expertise than just the here's how we handle hotels and events part of it. You understand the strategic marketing and sales side of it. That's
what would
really
you say,
cool.
just out of curiosity, what would you say so far? And I know you wouldn't say this, so I didn't pull it out of you. This is one of the reasons why I made sure it was in the questions. But what would you say of all the events you've done, and really they've been the biggest events in the industry that you have?
That's where we met, was at funnel hacking. I mean, big events.
Right.
So what would you say the top 2 or 3 where you were just like both, I don't want to use the phrase proud, but let's say proud, like, you know, like felt blessed that you were able to pull it off, and also just like blown away that it even was able to be pulled off given all of the variables and all that. Dude, give me just maybe 1, 2, or 3 that you're like, couldn't believe that one worked out the way it did, and what worked about it.
I would say most definitely Funnel Hacking Live is probably one of my most favorite that I was involved in. I started with Russell, his very first one. Gosh, how many years ago has it been now? Like 5 or 6 years ago. And I helped him for the next 4 before he got huge. Like right now he's over 5,000 or so people. So now he's got his own internal team that handles it. Right. But it was a proud moment for me because of all, we understood the language. Yeah. And he knew what he wanted to do. So it was a matter of me now working with his team and getting them to understand what had to happen so that the experience, as you said, Mars, was delivered. Yeah. So that was probably one. Another one is actually being super involved from the very beginning all the way through on a consulting basis, not just the event planning part of it, and strategizing with the client to make everything kick off so well and making it an experience. If I say the name, most people aren't going to know who it is. So I'm just not even going to worry about saying the name, but it was in the dental industry.
Oh, okay.
And, it was all about the experience in the dental industry for what my client was trying to deliver and coming up with a way so that it was profitable and people were like, they were signing up before the end of the event. So there's many different people that I've worked with over the years, but the big ones like, Russell Brunson and Ryan Dice, I can't take credit for running TNC because that's by someone else, but I have been there to help. And I worked with Ryan and his team back in 2013 and helped that group go.
Yeah, he's got an awesome team. They've done a great job with it. I just want, to me, I think like one of the things, your personality is very similar. Michelle and I were talking about this before we went live, but your personality is similar to hers in that she's done amazing things too. And if I don't tell other people about it, they just don't know. And what's cool is that means people are really going off your character when they choose to work with you. It's because they genuinely like you. And it's not necessarily because you're boasting about things that you've accomplished or that she's boasting about things that she's accomplished. But for me, it's important. I want people to know that both of you, but right now this is about you, are amazing and that you've achieved these things that like they're industry changers. They change the way that people did, and the Glazer Kennedy events too. You spearheaded a lot of those GKIC events. Yes. Was it there's Info Summit, and then what's the other one? The other one's
Super Conference.
Super Conference. Those are huge events, and Digital Marketer modeled that, and in the traffic and conversion. And so the way that you did things, people might not even realize. It's kind of like me with launches. I don't even care anymore. Like I used to go, I started that. I did that first. It doesn't matter anymore. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, like they say. But I want people to know how much of their understanding and DNA that they have from going to these events. Actually, you're like a huge source of it, because like, sure, Russell's amazing on his own and Ryan's amazing on his own, and Bill and Dan are legends, but like your DNA, your sort of like psychological and like spirit kind of is infused in all those events, and therefore everybody who's gone to them, it's in their sort of feeling and expression of those events. And that's important for them to understand it. Because when we talk about this Bionic Event thing here, I want them to understand that the same way you spearheaded a lot of things that changed the industry to what it is now, well, it's always time for an update at some point. And right now, God, nature, whatever you want to call it, has handed us that moment, and the world is going to stop ending at some point. So what I kind of wanted to do is, there's probably one question before we get specifically to the
There's
Bionic.
several, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to make sure we hit the Bionic Event one, because that one's important to me.
You've thrown my questions out the window
Sorry.
here. No, you're not. All right. Try to get us back on track. So a lot of people right now are really kind of running around like Chicken Little. The sky is falling. The event industry is over. This is the death of live events. And I don't actually believe that. I don't think events are dead. I think they have to evolve, but they're not dead. So I would love to know, what do you see from behind the scenes as the status of live events in our space?
It's a great question. And I'm getting it too. So many people want to know the answer, and none of us have a crystal ball. But I agree 100%. Live events are not going anywhere. They will change. They will evolve. We'll talk about what I think that looks like here in a moment. But no, they're not going anywhere. To answer the question that I think is the underlying question that people want to know is, when can I? Yeah. And my advice as a strategic planner is, don't stop planning. Take this time right now and start putting things into motion strategically. Like, how can I best give that experience that I want for my tribe, my industry, letting them know, be relevant, do your own research, find out what they need to know from you, and take that time to strategically plan it. So then when we know dates are okay and safe to book, you're going to be ready. You're going to be ahead of the curve and ahead of the game. The other flip side to that is, hotels are desperate for business.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Now is the time to reach out to them if they're there, because so many of them are furloughed or very, very little limited staff, is to find out what deals you can make with them. Even if it's going back and reducing what you already have contracted in the fall or the winter or even summer, and saying, look, I still want to have something, but how can we reduce
How
my
can you work with
liability?
me? Yeah. That's
Right.
great.
How can you work with me? I mean, that's what people need to be doing right now, because think about it. How stir crazy are you all going right now?
Oh, everybody's feeling the
Being
same way too.
quarantined from
Yeah,
home.
absolutely.
Yeah, everybody is so stir crazy right now, and people miss the live events. Like, I think people are underestimating that, people want something to look forward to. If you tell me you're hosting an event 6 months from now, I'm going to be watching that because, like, I want to go somewhere. I want to get out of
I want
this
to be a
place.
human being again.
Yes, I
So-
want to connect with people.
So then the segue question between explain Bionic Events and this thing that you're saying right now is, what do you see sort of to set up the concept of the half virtual, half real life event? What do you see as the interim phase as things go back to sort of the new normal? Like when the pandemic ends, if it's 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 months from now, it doesn't matter. What do you see happening in the interim period? Because while we were having a conversation the other day, Sherrie and I, and she said something. I have talked to, Michelle, what have we done? Talked to 12 or 13 event, planner type people in the last few, because everybody's coming to us going, we need you to stream.
We need to go virtual. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I get live events kind of well enough to get the gist of it, but your understanding of the sort of core of it is not, it's unparalleled. It just, bottom line, is unparalleled. She'll never admit to that, but it is. It really is. And because I know everyone. So what do you think is going to happen sort of between now and when it's kind of okay for everybody to go out? Because you said something on the phone the other day about how people are going to feel and event attendance between now and sort of the new normal. It's 3 months, 6 months from now. What do you think is going to happen? What does the interim look like? What does the segue look like?
I think the segue looks like anybody and everybody who has done events or wants to do events should do some sort of virtual format right now. Okay. That's the step number one they need to do, whether it's a webinar, live stream, doing some sort of virtual day, or getting on Facebook Live, a YouTube concept, anything that you could possibly think of, you should be doing it virtually, just so your audience still knows you're relevant and you're still there, and you build upon that. You're going to not only be in front of your own industry, but you're also going to give yourself an opportunity to grow your tribe, because then they're going to say, look, Sherrie knows what she's talking about in this regard, so I'm going to refer her to you. Take a look at her video. Take a look at this. And it's your great segue into the live. And then what led us to this conversation of the Bionic Event was the thing now that people are talking about is when we're allowed to go back and have live events again, what's the size look like?
Right.
How big are we going to be able to do it? Is
Right.
the social distancing going to be an issue?
Yeah, and
There's so
certain
many
states will allow you to,
unanswered-
certain states won't. People from certain states aren't going to want to travel, et cetera. They're going to be afraid to travel. So it's
Right.
going to kind of happen in waves,
Yeah.
right?
It's going to happen in waves.
Yeah.
And, the last thing that I would say to anybody who is trying to get their business to stay afloat and to grow and thrive in this is don't wait, because someone else is going to step in your shoes
Right.
and they're going
Yeah.
to go after it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So now is the time to strategically plan it. So if your event's probably not going to be as big as you hope it to be right away. And that's okay, because no one else is.
You mean
either,
the live attendance,
right?
but you're talking about the live attendance,
the
people
live.
butts in seats at the
The
actual
live
event.
attendance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that leads us into the Bionic Event concept, which you were already thinking about. And I said a different word, and then now it's this, but like at the end of the day, what does it look like, and how do you foresee, with your sort of like sage understanding of how events work, and also enough of an understanding of the digital universe, since you've done all these digital marketing events, what do you see as the sort of what is the Bionic Event, this sort of real hybrid? Because everybody's throwing that term hybrid around like a old rag doll. But like, what is the real Bionic Event? Half human, half machine, half man, half real life, half virtual. What does that look like? Like how does that look? And talk to people kind of about like what we talked about, but also what's in your head, and even elaborate more than if you can, more than what we got to.
Yeah. So the big problem, I'm going to use the P word here, the big problem with virtual is the networking ability, the feeling like you have that experience that you would not normally have in a live event. And that's why we all think live events are never going to go away. So the bionic term that you and I talked about the other day, Mars, was trying to allow the people that have to attend virtually the most experience as possible, so that they feel like they're actually part of the event from very beginning to end. So that means that you would have to invest a little bit more, in some cases a lot more than you would anticipate, for the right video cameras and the crew to be able to do it. But you're essentially having a camera person with someone who has talent in front of the camera to guide the cameraman around and follow the be that person there.
Right.
It's kind of like a virtual reality kind of feeling. Right?
Yeah, I see it like a
that.
gala, like the way they handle the Academy Awards or the Grammys or something. There's there's the awards that are going on
You get to
stage,
see
but then
behind
there's
the
the
scenes
conversations that are happening.
and-
They'll
Behind
cut to
the
them,
scenes.
and that is really how you do it. Because a lot of times when I bring a camera, because we do it all the time, where we bring cameras, we usually tap into the AV that's there, and then we stream it out, and then we set up funnels and stuff, like funnel elements for the event, and sell whatever's maybe being sold at the event. But that's usually where people want to end it. Like a lot of times they don't get the value of like having somebody actually talking to people on the breaks and following people around, going into the green room and actually talking to people and that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff you and I were talking about, which is like, that's really how you, and also that the other thing is like, I'll tell you who did a good job with this is Bob Proctor. I love Bob. He's a friend of mine, and he's the one that listened to me the best. He actually has a camera on his stage at his event, and it's about the size of like a 7-year-old kid. It's about the height of a 7-year-old kid, right? This camera, and it's looking up at him, and he talks to that camera as much as he talks to the live audience, because I told him something one time when we converted one of his events for him. And we did a big live stream with him. And basically, I said, I tell everybody this, Bob, and they kind of just sort of halfway do it. But here's the thing. And we were talking like eating sandwiches on like before we went live or on one of the breaks or something. I said, you have to think about it like when you make eye contact with anyone in the room, you're looking at one person at a time and making like a connection with them, right? But when you look at that camera, and we had like 10,000 people or something like that on when we did his thing. Basically, I said, you kind of got to think of it like you're talking to 10,000 people one-on-one. And he was like, oh. And I said, you literally need to place that camera, because I placed it sort of like he did, but he did a better job than me of where he placed it. But I gave him a specific camera that was the one that he was to talk to when he was, and seeing that as a human being and making that kind of connection with people in the virtual sense. Most people think that virtual doesn't work largely because they're just comfortable doing it sort of the status quo way, and they haven't taken it upon themselves to think like you're thinking right now, right? Yeah. So that's important. That's why like going and having going into the green room, going into some breakout rooms, even having virtual breakout rooms, that kind of thing. But then also getting in there and kind of mixing it up and giving a taste of what's in those rooms and stuff. It really does make people feel like they're there, even though they're sitting in the living room or they're at work watching when they're not supposed to be, or whatever the thing is. But that's how you actually do it. And what you're saying, you're the only event manager, event coordinator type person, event planner, event strategist, because that's really what you are, that I've talked to who gets it. And I've talked to a lot of them. A lot of them are going to be like, I understood it, but I'm telling you, you're the one right now that when we talked about it, I was like, she actually understands what the heck what I'm saying. Cause it's been hard for me to get anybody, like people who we actually stream their events for them. There's only been a handful that think of it as anything other, sort of like an auxiliary thing. There's some cameras in the room, we're streaming, versus like talking to the camera and having somebody rove around, like you just said, and actually make connections with people, ask them what they're liking about the event, ask them what their biggest takeaway is, because that's what really makes them fall in love from a distance, you know?
There's so many things that you can continue to add through the virtual experience at the event. I mean, the person behind that and, in front of the camera, talking virtually with these people, having these questions, that person could even go off into the green room when nobody else is there and saying, okay, how about on a break? How about you and I interact? Tell me what you thought of the last speaker. What questions do you want me to ask them? It's like you're creating, I mean, there's so much that you could do that you're going to create an experience for them, unlike they would have gotten in some cases at the event. Actually at the event, because they're not going to the green room.
Because it's almost like a VIP for the virtual audience. They get to see
for the
more.
microphone. They get an opportunity to ask a speaker a question.
Yeah, that's what you call bionic right there, folks. That's the brilliance of it. And so she was talking this stuff through with me the other day. We were on a call, and it was supposed to be like a 10-15 minute catch-up call, and just like I wanted to say, hey, how you doing, that kind of thing. We ended up talking, it was like 55 minutes. It was a long call. And it was my favorite call that I've had probably in 5 or 6 weeks, because I walked away from it going, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that's a good point. Like, I'll start some of the things that you're talking about, even like whatever I'm working on, I'm actually going to think about it that way, because I hadn't really thought of it. Right now, though, what's great is people are they're put into a space where they have to think. Thank you that they have to. This is one of the like opportunities that's now presented itself. Every single problem always comes with opportunities, and winners, successful people. That's the main thing I've always noticed. They're determined, and when a problem arises, they try and find the opportunity in the problem, right? Because every problem, just like every opportunity has problems, every problem has opportunities. Those are the same things. So anyways, I'll let you kind of wrap, babe, because I don't want to keep her too much longer. And what we are going to do this, though. I want to do a private, longer deep dive with Sherrie, where she actually walks through some of the beats of what she knows about event planning and about strategizing events and so forth, and sponsorships and all the things that she really knows and understands. And would you do that with us at some point, Sherrie? Because I'd love to put it in the Planet Business membership site and then show people how they can get go deeper with you and some of the things that you offer. But that was all I wanted to say. Hold on one second. I want to give myself. Okay.
Wow.
There you go. People thought it was funny. You didn't.
You thought that was funny. Okay.
Or maybe it was worth applause. I don't know.
All right. So this is what I was saying about the sound effects buttons.
That's right. I keep them out of her reach. She'll stop them every time if I let her.
Okay. Well, what I've found interesting about this conversation, and hopefully what you guys are taking away from it, is this is a chance to get creative. This is a chance to look at, okay, yeah, things have changed, but that's not a bad thing. There are ways to actually make this work even better than what we were doing before this happened. And this is somebody who can help you figure out what does that new event model look like that really will be even more effective than anything you've done leading up till now.
And you said that so much better than I did.
So why don't I get applause?
Okay, here, I'll give you some. 1 second.
Thank you.
There you go.
Well, what I would love to share with everybody is where they can go to find out more about you, Sherrie, connect with you if they have questions, if you're looking to strategize what you could do right now to keep that event plan that you've got, but bring in some of these elements, knowing your numbers are going to be a little different, like Sherrie said, but that doesn't mean you should cancel the event. It means you should get creative and make it work even better.
I personally have seen the virtual outperform the in-room many times, probably 20% of the time we pull that off. And that's usually when I can get somebody to listen to the things that she's thinking of. Like sales from stage can be greater virtually because there's a larger number of people. Meaning, sure, there's 1,000 people
so
on
much
only,
more potential.
and only 200 bought, but that's still more than the 150 who bought in the room. So, so it's a conversions thing. But at the end of the day, whatever link she's about to give, which I don't know what it is right now, but like follow her and go find out how you can get in touch with her and figure out what you can do to learn from her and work with her, because like there's nobody better. I will say, and I have a lot of event, and they're going to watch this and they're going to go, wait a minute, I am saying it out loud to the whole universe. Sherrie Sokolowski is the absolute best at what she does, and what she does is very nice, unlike Wolverine. So it's Wolverine says isn't very nice. I thought that was funny, and I'm going to give myself some more laughter. That's it.
All right. There will be a link near where you are listening or watching this today. theplanetbusiness.com/Bionic Event will take you to Sherrie's website where you will get access to a free report. If you want to tell us about that.
Ooh, free report.
Yes.
Yes. So the free report is 7 things to avoid when you are trying to plan your own event. 7 budget busters.
Oh, I need to know what those are. That seems really important to know. All right, so make sure you click that link near wherever you are watching or listening, grab access to that report, and reach out to Sherrie. You can find her on social media, through her website, and ask her the questions that are on your mind about what to do with your events, whether this is the first event that you're planning, get it right the first time, or whether you're looking to take what you've been doing and make sure it works even better in our new abnormal.
The new abnormal.
That's it. All right.
All right.
I think that's
So, Sherrie, thank you so much for taking the time out because you're busy 24/7 and for being here, and thank your family for borrowing you to us for a moment. And I will we will both circle back around, and then we'll do something in the membership that will give you more of Sherrie, and then also you can find out how you can work with her, more directly and stuff, and learn what she knows directly from her because she's the best. I said it. And with that, I'm going to stop the recording.